Hello, and welcome to Embracing the Fight. I am Erica Lamar, your digital creator and host. And if you've been watching since January of 2023, you will know that Embracing the Fight is about normalizing the conversation surrounding physical and mental health issues and concerns. So, what does that really mean? That means we need to come together, as a community and share those things that we're going through so people can stop suffering in silence. The problem is there's lots of folks out there that have gone through something and they've made it through, and by the grace of God, they prayed, they've shouted, they've yelled, and they've been healed, but they're not sharing their stories. They're keeping the stories, to themselves. And then there's someone else that could benefit from the goodness of their story. Also, there are people out there that may not have had, the best outcome from their story, but they can still share it to help someone else get through it. For instance, grief is one of those things where when you lose a child or you lose a parent, you lose a friend, or you lose, someone who's very close to you, that's something that is very difficult to manage because you never truly get over, losing someone that you love. So if you're able to share those kinds of conversations, the emotions, the ups, the downs, maybe you can help someone else manage as well. But that being said, I would love to have you as a guest on Embracing the Fight. If you are interested, please send me an email to operations@diversitydesigned.com. Again, that's operations@diversitydesigned.com. And if you are enjoying Embracing the Fight, if it has inspired you, if it has helped you along your journey, please, please, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Embracing the Fight. Please click like, click share, and comment. Because the more you do this, the more the algorithm sends out my message. And the message can be sent out to help others to heal and to move through and to manage life. Now, with all that being said, let's jump into episode 75, something new. So, I was just kind of sitting around, thinking about, life in general. And every so often, I'll sit down and say, well, maybe I should be doing this, or maybe I should be doing that. Maybe I should try this. Maybe I should try that, because certain parts, of my life, I feel, have become, stagnated in a sense, because I have been in the mining and minerals industries since January of 2002. So that is 22 years that I've dedicated, to this industry. But I've always felt like, maybe there's something else out there. Maybe there's another, calling on my life. So I had to sit there and I had to really think about, what that would look like. So something new doesn't necessarily mean that you have to leave, what it is that you're doing if you are unprepared. It means that you need to explore. It means you need to try. It means you to look at different things before you take the plunge. Sure, some people can take the plunge and, never feel it when they hit the ground. They just hit the ground running. Some folks take the plunge, hit the ground, and they need an ambulance or someone to, come help and pick them up, because the level of preparation that they needed to make it to the next step wasn't necessarily done, properly. So that's, pertaining to work. But there's something new that, we think about quite often, is more in our personal lives. What is something that we need to try, to make ourselves better? So I'll admit, I am not one to really go out, just to the club or anything like that and just hang around a whole lot of people. That's, never really been my thing. I've always been, the type of person that likes to be around my family and around my friends. And, everybody knows I love, to play tennis, love to travel, that sort of thing. But what happens when you get, in your little, your little circle, your little niche? What happens when it stagnates? It's like, okay, you want to meet new people, you want to do different things, you're in a brand new city, and it just feels like your life is nothing but work, home, work, home. There's nothing, in between. So we need to break up that cycle. We need to try something new. So think about the things that you enjoy. For instance, I love my sorority and I love my fraternity brothers. We're not officially, brothers and sisters, but we do share a common love. And on this past weekend, the Brothers of Omega Psi Phi fraternity came down here to the Tampa Bay area, and they had their grand conclave. It was their 84th. And that's like, a really large national convention for them where they take out, you know, into the area really and take on the business of Omega Psi Phi. And most folks know, like I said, I don't like crowds. I don't like a whole lot of people like that. I mean, I love people, don't get me wrong. I like, the essence of people, getting to know folks, laughing, joking, that sort of thing. But I decided that I was going to get out, and meet some people. And I had a great time. And I didn't feel the way that I normally feel when I go out. You're constantly thinking about people that may be shooting. You may think about potentially getting robbed, or you have an accident or something, bad can happen. But do you realize the more that you think about those type negative things, the more you manifest it, into your life, rather than stepping out and saying, I want to try this and I trust God, to protect me, rather than sit here and worry about all these different things. Because if you continue to do that sort of thing, life, will pass you by. You'll sit here and you'll be saying, 2 years later, in the same spot, wondering, why I haven't met anybody, why don't I do this, why don't I do that? Well, sometimes you have to change up your scenery. Sometimes you have to try something new. You have to try something different. Also, in trying something new, think about, do you like to cook? If you do like to cook, who wants to eat the exact same meal, every day? Have you ever thought about taking a cooking class, or getting a group of your friends together and just cooking various dishes and helping one another, and fellowship and share that, kind of love between sisters, between brothers, that sort of camaraderie? That is something new, or that would be something new for me, I should say, because I'm sure there are people out there that do those sorts of things right now, and you can tell by their countenance that they are full of joy, they're full of happiness, their spirit, is high. And I found that when I try something new, it does lift my spirit because it challenges my mind. And that's one thing that I found, brings me joy. Anything that challenges my mind, not that it challenges my heart, but it challenges my mind. It makes me think. It makes me want to, do more, to be more. So then something else right along the line of that is, what? Take some classes. Go to a university, and even if you don't want to go to a university, do a certification online. Do something that challenges your brain, and you'll notice that you'll think clearer. You'll give yourself that good stress that you need to continue to grow, because that's what something new, really does for you. It helps you to grow. You won't stagnate. You won't, get stuck. You won't be sitting there thinking, well, maybe I should have tried this, or maybe I should have tried that, when all of this is in your hands at this moment. Sure, God decides, whether or not you will be, a success, or you will, fail within whatever it is you're trying. But know that when you put those efforts forth and you have that relationship with God, then your successes will far exceed your failures. So why is it that people are so afraid, to try something new? Because even when you try something new, if you fail, you kind of fail forward, because you learn something, in the process. Not to do whatever that thing was that caused you to fail again. It forces your mind to think of different methods to try different things. And I recall, being in college, I had a math professor that, well, he used to say, this is how you do it. And I would sit there and I would do it 3, 4 different ways. And as long as my answer came up to be the same, I knew that my answer was right, because people view and try different things in different ways, but can still come to the same, conclusion. So that's how life is. Just because one person found success, doing it one way doesn't mean that you can't do it another way and be just as successful, if not even more, successful. You just have to give yourself the chance and the opportunity to try it and to do it. So the other good thing about something new for you is that, what expectations do you really have? When you want to try something, are you saying, oh, I'm gonna try this and I'm gonna be the absolute best and whatever this is? Or are you trying it to expand your horizons, to grow? And when you look at it that way, it's like, is it really failure, or is it just growth? And if it's growth, that's even better, because the more you grow, the better you become, the better you feel. It's almost like, you have the opportunity to just shift your life, to shift, everything around you at any given moment, if you are willing to try something new. So once you're able to, relieve yourself of that fear, of failure, and then you're trying this something new, I guarantee you're gonna find or meet someone else that is doing something very similar, and y'all can, get together and figure it out. Because who said that when you try something new that you have to do it alone? You don't. There are no rules to trying something new. Now, I take that back. There probably is a rule. Do things that are safe, that are within, your physical ability. That says, like, say for instance, if you want to try something new, like, oh, you want to be a, pilot, you can't just jump on a little crop duster and go flying. I mean, you could, but the outcome might not be the one that you really want. But there are steps, like I said, that you have to take in order to try this something new, but make sure that they are safe and calculated steps. Sure, it's okay, to be spontaneous, but not when it's dealing with your life. I'm saying, if the failure results like in death or fatality or something like that, I would tell you to take your time to figure out what it is that you need to do in order to get that thing in line before you try it. Because, you only get one mistake when it comes to fatality and it's over. So when you think about your something new, think about, what does your heart will. Think about the things that make you smile, the things that, say for instance, you watching TV and you see, the Olympic trials, and you just love track and field, and oh, you are 55 years old, you got arthritis, your back hurts, all this different stuff. You were once a track star. Now, you can go out and join an adult track league if that's something that you desire to do, at 55 with all the pains and things like that. Or you can start a youth organization where you are teaching children the proper techniques for running, and then you can create a legacy. Nobody said that you're something new meant you had to wreck your body in any way, just to force yourself to do something that you've always wanted to do. It's okay to live vicariously through someone else. It's okay to leave a legacy of love behind. That's what something new is all about. It's about your mind changing, your thoughts changing, and seeing things differently, rather than being so hard on yourself when you're not where you think you should be. Or you're sitting there looking at, other people that you're like, oh, they weren't good in school, and they just stayed out all the time. They were drinking and smoking, and here you were, being a good student. You were doing all this different stuff, trying to, progress your life. And it's like, how did they get this silver lining and I'm still over here struggling? Their path is not your path. You have to realize that your path is only as great and only as amazing as you're willing to try, as you're willing to do something new, something different, something innovative. Or you can just stay in the mundane. You can continue to do what you've done for 20 plus years and don't do, anything outside of it. You can just go to work, go home. But then you can't complain when you look over and you see, these people that you grew up with doing amazing things, because even though they might have been doing the same thing for 20 years, they were growing something on the outside of it that allowed them to step away from whatever that thing was so they could enjoy life doing something new. So I implore you to take the time today to sit down and say, okay, what is it that I want to try? Is it within, my means? If it's not within my means, what is it that I need to do in order to get there? Because if you're watching, YouTube, or if you're listening, to Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or any other, syndicated like podcast out there, you'll know there are lots and lots of money shows that tell you, how to fix your credit, how to make extra money, um, how to basically turn your financial situation around, because it can happen for you at any time. It can happen, overnight. Some people can get a windfall or some type of, inheritance, lottery win or something like that. Sure, you got those folks. But then you could pick the right stock and, be a millionaire the next day. You could get into the right real estate investment and make millions. There are so many different opportunities out there that you can listen to and feed yourself with it and try it, and it can happen for you, rather than every time you're looking, at a podcast and you're seeing people making all this money and making all these moves and doing all these things, and you're excited and happy for them, which is a great thing. You should celebrate others. But when is it time for you to celebrate you? When is it time for you to get a piece, this pie? So stop talking yourself out of the good things that God has placed in you for you to do. You have a purpose. And there's nowhere in the word that says that you have to be poor in your purpose. You'll be rich. Sure, the Bible talks about, the rich man getting into heaven. It would be easier for, a camel to pass through the eye of a needle. But that's you really have to think about that. It's like the I think that the Bible is saying that because you got people that are so like stuck or like connected to worldly or material things. And if they are requested to give all those things up, then they're not going to give it up because they're so used to the luxury, they're used to money, rather than saying, okay, I'll give this up, give this to everybody, and I'll follow you, God. And it's like some people can't disconnect themselves from that. And that's why they were saying, it was easy for a camel to pass through, the eye of a needle. Think about it. You're a billionaire. They come to you and they tell you to give all your money away and you'd be homeless, just for, the sake of helping others. A lot of people be like, you lost your mind. But at the same time, you made that billion once. You can do it again, right? And who's to say that your story won't be like Job? Job lost everything. And then he got it back, just because he never cursed God. He even looked at himself and was like, what did I do? He never once said, God, you did this to me and it's all your fault. There's nothing like that. So what I'm saying is, when you get to a point that you're sitting there and you're, afraid to move, or you're afraid, to do anything, and then you saying, I'm broke. I have other financial issues. I have other commitments. I can't do this. I can't do that. You are talking yourself out of the greater that's on the other side, of something new. So you have to be mindful of what you're saying. You have to be mindful, of what you're watching and what you're listening to, because those things too will also hold you back from whatever it is that you're trying to progress toward. Think about it when you start telling folks, "Oh, I want to be a culinary chef," and the first thing they say is, "Oh, girl, last time you cooked something, you burned a batch of cookies." That's your path. You don't need to have people around you that's bringing up the negative things that happen when you try something, because those type folks have a crab mentality. They want you to stay down in the bottom of the bucket with them. They don't want to see you, climbing out to victory, to increase, to joy, to happiness. Misery loves company. They want you down there. So when you think of something new, you don't have to broadcast it. You don't have to tell everybody. Now, you can tell somebody, but tell those folks you know that will encourage you, that will lift you up, that will, just give you that little to go ahead and try it. Rather than, like I said, a little negative Nancy or a little negative Ned over there that's, oh, you did this last time or you did that. They don't know the greatness that's inside of you. They don't know the internal struggles that you dealt with. They don't know what it is that you are going through that's forcing your mind to keep you awake, that's constantly got you thinking all day, every day about doing something different. But then at the same time, you're like, I got bills, I got kids, I'm married. There's other stuff that I need to be doing with my money rather than thinking about these, dreams and all this other stuff. You couldn't be more wrong. Because what happens when your kids grow up and you're an empty nester and you got, money, but you never tried anything. And you're sitting there with this regret. Who wants to live with regret? Because then you start looking at your spouse, wondering, should we be married? Kids grown, and I don't even know if I like you, because you never explored the person you love. You never spent the time trying new things with them. You just went through life, saying, I'm doing this for the kids. I love the kids. Now the kids grown. Now you sitting there looking at each other like, And I've noticed, the divorce rates are going up for people who got 20 plus, 30 plus, years in. But that could be for various reasons. I'm just saying, I think that's something new adds some spice, to your life. And when you got spice in your life, you don't have to go out looking for spice anywhere else. You got enough seasoning to eat your meal at home. Okay. So try that something new with your partner. Don't go looking, for someone or something else, because think about it. Even if you do find someone or something else, something new in another person, and you divorce or whatever, who's to say you're not gonna get tired of them? Or whatever it is that drew you to them, what if that thing fades? Then you're in the same predicament. So why not water and cultivate the soil that you're in by doing something new together? Learn each other again. Love each other like you never loved each other before. Don't go looking outside for something that you already have, at home. I think it's such a sad thing, to dedicate your life and your love and your youth to someone just to throw it away because you didn't take the time to truly cultivate the love that you had by trying something new. The mundane will kill a relationship. Don't let that be you. So after you get off listening to this podcast, go in there, you know, wrap your arms around your spouse and whisper something sweet in their ear and say, hey, let's try something new. It could be, I don't know, if you enjoy, painting, do a sip and paint together. Or if you enjoy, music, go to an orchestra, go to the opera. Hey, go to a concert out of town. Don't just sit there all day every day, doing the same thing over and over and over, looking at the calendar days go by and watching the love that you had fade away and feel like a distant memory. You got to cultivate. You got to do something new. You got to work it. Just like your life, you got to try something new. Or you be sitting around tired, depressed, and you don't know why. So please take heed to this message in episode 75, something new. And I'd be interested to know, some things that you all tried. Even if, say you're a single person, you just want to try something, different, like you want to go on a solo trip for the first time. I would love to hear about it. I mean, you could make me a little video and send it to me so I can share this, on my YouTube channel, on my Facebook page, because I am looking to try some new things and I need some ideas. So please feel free to comment below with some new ideas, some thoughts, something that, you think it would be good for me to try. I'm talking about something, normal within reason. I don't need anything crazy. I just want to, see, what my listeners are thinking about and what you all have going on. And as always, I thank you so much for taking the time out to watch this episode of Embracing the Fight. I want you all to have an absolutely amazing day. Try something new.